Welcome everybody to another Adobe XD stream. I'm your host, Chris Cannon, and I have the pleasure of being with the wonderful, wonderful Rogie King.
Yeah.
So just a few housewarming items we need to get over. I just want to make sure we get those knocked away so we can get started on our design today, which is going to be a smart app, smart home app. And matter of fact, Roger's going to be doing the icons for those. So I'm super excited to learn about his process and understand certain things that are going to go on from that. Just a couple things I want to say too is, welcome those that are here. We've got Val in. She's going to be our moderator today. We also got Tim there. He's going to be there for our moderation. And then welcome Evan, Mark. Oh, we've got two Marks. There we go. I think one of those Marks is actually, we'll see later on tonight. We've got Eric, Kat's in here. Kat Lowe has actually been on the show before. She's done some design.
Rad, welcome back, Kat.
Yes, yes. So we got Joe's,
We got
Justin. I think, isn't that best
got my
friend?
homeboy, got my
Best
homeboy
friend?
here.
Okay,
Here to support.
welcome. So going back to it, we're gonna jump into it and do some of our housekeeping items. One of the things we want to talk about is our chat and win. Today's chat and win is going to be 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. And then if, let's see, the other thing is too is at 30, and that'll be at 30 minutes. And then also too, if you joined us from Peter's Daily Creative Challenge, today is actually going to be and I'll zoom in here for the Daily Creative Challenge. And if you need to find out where this is, just head into the challenge tab, and you see it there, and it looks like it is the Design a Mobile Newsfeed experience. So we'll check that out, and thanks to Peter for actually doing that and showing us how to do that. So other than that, we are done and we're ready to jump into it. So let's dive into it. So let's go ahead and jump onto my screen and we'll do our creative brief. So just kind of talk to you guys a little about it. So we're gonna be doing a smart home app. While off camera, we were able to put together some cool things and talk a little about what we're going to be doing, and we're pretty excited actually. I'm pretty excited about how we came up with. So to give an introduction, to let you know, I'm Chris Cannon. For those who don't know me, I'm a creative director at Colors Design in Utah. I focus on brand identity and also user experience. And at one point in my life, I was a design influencer. Thanks to Rogie, he influenced me to be an influencer at one point, and now I tell design jokes in a remote life at my house. So it's good times, good times. And do you want to give a little introduction to yourself?
Well, I'm Rogie King. I'm on Twitter and most everywhere. If you're not following me, you should be following me. But if you're not, in case you need to know, in this session, I'll be an illustrator, but I'm also multidisciplinary. I'm a product designer and artist as well. I'm currently a senior product designer at Dribbble, having a great time there. I also do a lot of joyful, whimsical art and illustration. I love hard AF techno, hot sauce, art, horror movies. I love hugging humans a whole lot. I'm also half of the ridiculousness that is Super Team Deluxe and a normcore influencer now. I've sort of come down. I've come down now. I'm just sort of like right in the middle.
Okay,
So,
okay.
shaka.
Yeah, because at one point on Twitter, you were very, very like, hey.
I was in the influencing game. I was at the top of my game.
There was a lot of words like, there were gimmick words, I'll use them as, like design revolution and gridtastic. What was another one that you used that was, that you tried to bring back? Didn't you try to?
It's hard to know, man. It's hard to know those things that, you know, when they hit you in the creative mindset and in the flow, like they're gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like Val loves horror movies too, so super
Voodoo
excited.
Val,
Yeah.
all right, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, she did a really good job on the Photoshop Creative Challenge today. I was actually impressed with her work. So, okay, so now, in any creative brief, we know that there's objectives, so we want to kind of go over those and talk a little about those. To demonstrate collaboration between creatives using Creative Cloud library. So and I'll go through our agenda of what we're going to be doing, but we're going to be transferring files, icons, brands, brand logo items, and so on and so forth through the Creative Cloud library. And then we'll be using Adobe XD to create the smart home app UI. And we're going to offer that in a clean and usable UI. And we don't want to reuse it. No. We're going to show a workflow of using, obviously, between Illustrator and Adobe XD. We're going to create a usable prototype based on the sections we designed. So obviously, due to time, we're not going to be able to build the whole thing. It's unfortunate. I mean,
nor are we going to be able to secure your homes.
Yeah,
It feels
totally.
like it's just going to be sort of a visual.
Yeah, and you know, Rogie and I thought about it. Like, maybe we can just, we're in San Francisco, we're in the heart of tech world. Maybe we just go build a business and after Adobe Live,
protect the people.
Yeah, I say we do it.
On.
Yeah, and then we thought about it and we're like, nah. So after we're done with that, we're going to provide the file to each of you at the end of the stream so you guys can have some hands-on learning. So let's talk about brand research really quick. So the brand research that we kind of came up with for this, and after we're done, Roger's going to actually go into that and build a logo for that, was we wanted to go around the word nucleus, right? That's the center of, in science, that's the center of an atom. And so we wanted to have that ability to do that because your alarm system should be the center of it. Yep, I like that word. I like that. That is literally right
nice
behind,
placement. It was nucleus for a while, but no.
So in our brand research, we also came up with different colors that we liked, and so we went straight to Google Images, and we pulled up a bunch of these ones that we could find. Not that we couldn't use Adobe Images, but we thought Adobe stock,
Google Images, Safe Search off is really the best place for inspiration.
For the colors, we felt like this. And then we also thought about a door. All right, that door aspect of it is what we wanted to do, rather than the whole home, right? The home, there's a lot of
that's where people get
there.
into and out of your safe space,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, it's the entrance of that ability. And so going into that, now we're going to talk about the product research. So as I sat down and tried to figure out certain things and understand certain values, I looked a lot on Behance, Dribbble, and also other products like Apple, Vivint, Smart Home, Cove, and Google, which now owns Nest. I looked at them and tried to figure out certain things that were going on there. There were some things that were like, I was actually weirded out, or not, I was strangely weirded out that they didn't have certain things there and that there was so much progression or good design that you could move forward on. And so we got this and figured out, and some of the environments we talked about is, well, what happens like in the bottom left-hand corner, is that left? That's right, left, yeah. Bottom left-hand corner, we have a bright room. Well, what happens if you have glare on the screen? And so we thought about these certain things, and we also talked about accessibility. So we may touch on that just a little bit. Rogie and I are not pros on accessibility, but we've asked a lot of good friends like Kat, who runs Get Stark or Stark. And so she actually has a plugin inside of Adobe XD. So we talked to her, and she gave some great pointers and tips. And then we wanted to see something that was very, very clean, and we looked at the different levels of it, and we really came up with, in our information architecture, to come up with these 7 different things. So one of the things we noticed, and you have Vivint, Smart Home at home, and one of the things that we noticed is that there was no emergency, even though I put model, that's supposed to be modal. There was no emergency mode that was there so that way you could, if anything was happening in your house, you could just quickly press that. And I believe you said you liked that your younger children could actually do that too if something was happened while you had walked away or maybe out in the garage or something, right? So,
right, the idea being that, like, say you have a ton of UI going on, this is a very special app in the sense that if somebody's breaking into your home, maybe you don't want to see like people's tweets, or you don't want to see like, a log of like who walked in and out of, the bathroom last night. There's something very pressing and something very like urgent that you need to take care of, and that could potentially take over all of the screen. Now, we haven't designed this yet. We've just sort of talked about this in the research, so that's something that we're going to want to tackle. Like,
yeah, totally. And in chat, it looks like we've actually been joined by Howard Pinsky. He's the senior evangelist over Adobe XD, and one of my good friends.
Well, it's about time you shut up, man. It's about time.
Yeah, no, we were struggling. He's hosted me one time, and he's got some pretty good dad jokes. Pretty good dad jokes. Okay, so we have splash screen login, we have onboarding home. We also have, he did some pretty good on the branding, but we have automation, right?
It feels like the only one time we actually had a pun, so it's like a one-off, and we'd really like maybe your help to crowdsource some other puns.
Please don't hate us, though. It's just 2 guys with dad bods, okay? Just don't hurt us. Okay, so we've got security, and again, back to that. Day 1 agenda. our creative brief review, which we were in. Then we're going to talk about brand identity, which as soon as we're done with this, our creative brief, we'll jump on over to Rogie's screen and we'll talk a little about that, and he'll get started on that. We have iconography, design system, which we will build inside of Adobe XD, and then wireframing also the same. And we'll show you how to link all those up and get everything squared away. So we actually we're gonna start from ground zero on that. Day 2, we're gonna do a recap, hi-fi, onboarding illustration, we're gonna show, that'll be done by Rogie, animation within Adobe XD if we have time, and then portfolio reviews tomorrow. But there was something you want to say. I think that you wanted some of the chat to give us some feedback on that about whether or not we should do illustrations.
Oh, right. So this can happen like later on in the chat, or maybe it can happen now, depending on what you're feeling. And if any of the moderators can kind of collect some of this information for us. Initially, we're thinking, let's do some solids, right? Let's do some identity design, let's do some icons. Those things will help the actual interface.
For sure.
But we'd like to bring some surprise and delight, maybe a little bit of joy into this experience. And so for me, wondering like, should I focus on illustrations or should I be focusing on like animation? What other things did we talk about with regards to illustrations?
So illustrations, so we
patterning.
Pattern, thank you.
We also talked about
that's
patterning.
awesome.
So it's basically what you feel like you need out of this. We were thinking we could create some patterns based off of some moods from this brand and show you how to use the pattern tool in Adobe Illustrator to create some stuff to kind of spice this app up a little bit, maybe in the onboarding screens. The other thing that we could really focus on is maybe illustrations that help to educate the user in a first time onboarding as to like how to use this thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll be able to have the time to get to both,
Yeah.
but kind of chime in and say what you're feeling like.
Correct.
And we'll do what we can.
Yeah, and depending on how many of the portfolio reviews we get, we may have extra time. So that is, Justin says that surprise and light should be a chest tattoo. Is that something you'd be interested in
I'd be
getting?
interested in it without a doubt.
Yeah,
Sort of like if it goes top down.
Yeah.
Surprise up here, delight down there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so on to our next point.
Yes. So let's jump over to Rogie's screen and let's get started. So Rogie is actually you're going to start us from the beginning, is that correct? So you're going to open up.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. Well, I've got a little bit of starter thoughts here on here so we don't wreck ourselves on figuring out everything. But we've done is a little bit of research on like the kinds of icons, and we'll jump into those in a little bit. Some of the words maybe that we're like, what kind of wordplay can we do? Like atoms, protons, electrons, nucleuses. I know nothing about this stuff. So there's gonna be a higher degree of education from all of you. Considering that I was homeschooled, chances are I know nothing about these things. So we're gonna really botch this design. You'll be here with me. One thing that I noticed for styles of icons that I liked was this kind of sort of off-on. When it's enabled, it's filled. When it's not, it's sort of a line-based thing. So I think we're gonna try to kind of take a cue from Twitter's icons. I really like Twitter's icons. I think they do a really nice job, especially that home icon. It's just like, it looks like a birdhouse.
Yeah.
Great branding.
Right. Great brand identity.
We'll also figure out what our MVP is gonna be. But as a start, what we're gonna do is just go on a branding light journey. Normally what I do is we would be doing lots of research and investigation into what colors make people feel safe, what make them feel secure, like maybe those things really tie into the UI. But for now, we're gonna scrap all that and just say, let's make a rad-ass logo, okay?
Okay.
And I've got some initial thoughts here. I've seen this done on, Twitter, where you just take some objects and you slam them together and you hope to make something. So, my idea is a door, we talked about a door, but then the nucleus N, right? Twitter had the T, Facebook had the F, that could work. So the nucleus N, and then maybe some idea of this atomic thing. And then at the end of it, if you add them all together, you'll just get a little taste of the glory. So, and that would be that right there. So what we're trying to do is get a little taste of the glory. So we're just gonna jump on in.
Can you make that face for us live today? Oh,
I already made it, it's done. I know it well,
Yeah.
It's part of my own brand statement. Okay, so here's our final logo. As you've noticed,
Howard
there is
loves
none.
your comment.
Howard, thank you. Thank you for showing up, man. Okay, so as you noticed, there is no final logo. So We kind of need to fill the space with that logo.
This is like one of those pictures where you have to look for a long time and something shows up.
And in our case, nothing shows up
Yeah.
but the abysmal reality of like our own fate. So what I'm thinking first is we're just gonna come up with let's just come up with some logo text. That's easy enough. So we're just gonna take the text tool, I'm gonna put it in here. Let's not overthink it. Nucleus. And I'm gonna hold shift, boom. If I don't hold shift, it's probably gonna do something like that. This is what we all created in some kind of Microsoft Word app when we were kids, but hold shift, make it big. All right, now let's choose a font. Let's not get too crazy about it. We're gonna go ahead and go Source Sans Variable. Ooh, variable font. I don't know if I want to teach you those things, but let's mess with it.
So it looks like
Look at that. Oh,
looks like Andrew wants having you do your tattoo on your chest be live. So I don't think we can do it here, but maybe
we'll just
get it
get
to Instagram. You wanna go to Instagram?
Yeah. Get a marker.
Yeah.
Make it happen. So you're on a journey with us. There's gonna be decisions that I make here that I didn't make kind of thinking about this. So I wanna go with this variable font just because I've found there's so many cool things that you can do with that. In this case, it's just sort of weight, so we can kind of find a weight. I'm thinking security, strong, bold. That sounds good. Kerning, for some reason, I'm no good at it, but I think what we can do is try to kern this a bit.
That is one thick logo, my friend.
2 C's, so like a nucleus with 3 C's.
So
Thick.
apparently there's some new ideas going around that we should do a Behance After Dark. I don't know how I don't know. We'll talk to the creators and see what happens there.
Okay. Here's an idea. All right. We're just going to go ahead and say that this logo text is beautiful, but we could, sort of scrub through some of these. So if we just come through here, I don't know why we're actually doing this. It might be because it's variable. Let me see. We may not have this selected correctly. It keeps going to glyphs. That is not the intended thing. Well, we can do this and try to figure out other fonts that we could use. This is typically probably what anybody would do, right? You just sort of jog through the fonts and you ask yourself the mood. What does it feel like? This feels like an old tattoo.
Yeah,
probably
it does.
not.
Prison tattoo. I was just,
Probably not really the vibe we're going for.
I have no idea why I just said that. But yeah, that's
a prison tattoo.
Prison
maybe
tattoo. That was no. I you know what? I'm not gonna say anything else.
Well, why don't we ask you, Chris? Like, okay, what do you think about like this one?
Is that Comic Sans? Is that? Do my eyes see?
It's it's Comic Sans Part 2.
It's Part 2.
Yeah, it's part
it's
two.
Bradley.
Bradley Handbold.
You know who really loves Comic Sans? Howard Pinsky. The guy will design all day with it.
All right, well, let's just keep that there for a second. We can also alt drag and,
Oh, looks like
try
we have
something
Rocky
else.
in the house.
We could see some other things. That Source Sans was kind of interesting, so let's go back there.
I'm actually really digging the Source Sans. I thought it was pretty good, and
We can stay there.
Now, so talk about this variable, because that's new, right?
Yeah, so variable width fonts have like a lot of different attributes as opposed to sort of like states where it's like in weights where it's like extra bold, light, something like that, or oblique, stuff like that.
Right.
Instead of all of that, it's all much more fluid and
it's all based on weights of 800, because some fonts come like that, right?
Let me give a good example here. Here's a good example of a variable font. Now in Nucleus's case, what it had was just sort of a weight slider.
Right.
And instead of like 700, 800, 900, you're thinking more in terms of 701, 702s, like as far as a analog.
And what is the benefit of that? Is there a benefit, or is it?
If you really want to sort of like get in between the two values, if you felt one was too heavy or one's too
between a
light.
medium or a semi-bold. Oh, that's very nice. Okay.
Check this out though. This one will blow your mind.
Okay.
So this one, Chi, was a super fun font that I used for the Dribbble hang time, doing some tote bags and things like that, creating some fun branding things. Now look at this. So in this case, they named them yeast, gravity, and temperature.
That
think
is
of it.
super cool.
So watch how the entire character of the font changes. But now watch, since you have 3 different sliders, they will all interact differently. So look at this. So we got like a real kind of a 70s
pretty
vibe going
psychedelic,
there.
yeah, pretty
And
psychedelic.
then this one, imagine it like a loaf of bread temperature.
Bro, that's pretty sick.
So you can do a
actually
lot
like
of
that.
crazy things with them.
That is pretty cool.
In our case, was a very simple example of it. All right, Chris, I'm just going to let you choose of these three what feels sort of epitomizing strength, security.
Professional.
Sure.
I
yeah.
assume obviously the horror blood that is coming off
That's
our
cheese
third
drips.
choice.
That's a cheese drip.
That's cheese
Get in
drips.
that grilled cheese mindset.
Okay. Strictly went to blood. I don't know why.
It's okay, man.
I'll talk to my therapist
It's
afterwards.
okay, man. It's okay. We'll work on it.
The middle one, too close to Sans or to Comic Sans. So I'm
It
not
feels
a
like
fan.
a preschool, right?
Yeah, exactly. My
For all those
2-year-old
hating on
could've-
Comic Sans, we don't need to hate on it.
no.
Just use wrong.
The new, I like the Sans
All right.
variable. The source Sans, correct?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right. So we're just gonna ditch that. We're gonna ditch those in the name of moving on fast. The next thing I'm thinking is like, what if we had a door that looked, okay, so the idea of a nucleus, what if we did that first? So we did like a nucleus to me, like a very simple version of it might be that we take two objects. We will just swap these colors there, and I'll just take these like this, and I'll get the N out of the way. Maybe that's like a center of something. That communicates that this is in the center of something. So that seems like a good communication for that. And then my next thought is like, what if, you know, the door was like the center to that? But what if the door was shaped like the N?
Oh.
So
I see where you're going with this.
So then we like, let's move this up.
Looks like
Let's spin
Samuel's
this out.
saying that Comic Sans is very misunderstood.
Very
A lot of people-
misunderstood.
You know, if Comic
It's
Sans was a person,
It's had a dark past.
Right.
It's been misused.
Right, and here's the thing: is it's a free font too, and free fonts they just get tossed around.
Oh
and
man,
no one-
Calibri. Calibri's had a day. It's had
Yeah,
a day.
yeah, poor guy.
Heart goes out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and if Comic Sans was a client, they'd be the cheap client, weren't they? Wouldn't they? You think so? No.
I don't know. My heart still goes out to it. Still goes out. Maybe a cheap client. You know,
Poor guy.
preschools don't have a lot of money. That
No,
could be true.
yeah, I think so.
All right, so right now I'm kind of, you know, stepping all over myself. This is just a trick. I mean, it's not a trick. I'm sure plenty of us do this, but it's just take these objects and just take the transparency. I want them to be on my artboard, but I want to sort of draw on top of them, but also, see what I'm doing wrong here? But also they're too dark for me to work with. So,
You ever feel like when you're working, when someone's watching you, you just barely can, you just seem like you can't do it, but you're like, I just did this 10 minutes ago. What's going on here?
never have felt that way once in my life, actually. You bringing it up now might make me think that. Okay, so basically I'm thinking I just want to make sure that this shape looks like a door and looks like an N. So for now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to move the door over for now. What we could do, if the door is getting in the way constantly, I don't work with layers because I'm a heathen, but what we can do is just take that door, put it down here, and I'm just going to lock that layer. That means if I click it, nothing's going to happen.
So you touched on something there. You said, I don't work with layers because you're a heathen. Why do you feel like not working with layers works better with your process?
I think that when I'm in a more artistic phase of mind, and I do this also in product design, like I do not put a grid on things initially. Because what I'm trying to do is get a feeling for like what this might look like, and sort of get myself inspired and excited about this, as opposed to getting all lost in process.
So do you go to paper first to do that? Or
I think
do you
paper first is a
typically-
great way to start. That actually gets you very much out of the mindset, but I'm not against the sort of working
digital
in,
side.
not working, like if this is your app and this is how you feel comfortable, then work in it.
Yeah, and that's something that I agree with also 100% is that there's never one way to get to making a logo or certain things. I mean, you look at Illustrator and there's so many different ways to do something. So there's no, even Rocky says that he's definitely a fan of, he's a member of the No Layers Club. So.
Right, I tend to work with things visually and click into things and use like Command or Alt click to get into sort of nested objects and things like that, as opposed to sort of flipping things out in a layer panel and sort of going down as a result.
Yeah.
The problem is what happens is a complete catastrophe on the left if you're watching. So for those of you that are organized, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this anxiety that I've given you.
Okay, just a really quick update. Chat and Win is about 3 minutes out. And so in about 3 minutes, we'll basically cue that in and we'll see who wins. And remember, today it's the 100 stickers for the winner from Sticker Mule.
All right. So let's wrap this idea up. It's kind of happening. It looks like a door. This could, if over there could look like a door handle. I think maybe we might be able to get away with it being right at the center.
Does that remind you of a Hobbit door?
It reminds me of a Hobbit hole, and that's a warm feeling for me. I feel safe there.
Huge fan.
I feel like Gandalf would show right up. I think one thing that should happen though is shortening those legs. The reason I overlaid the N is because I don't just want to create a horseshoe shape and expect it to look like an N.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of people that have gone on before us that know how typography works. So this looks like it's probably a good idea there, matching it close to that.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I agree. So let's see here. Oh, there it is. Now I can see a little better. I was gonna say, do you take away the door? I want to see what it looks like. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
I think you're going the right direction. And you know what? Jody says that it's warm and safe.
He feels it's warm and safe?
Yeah, he feels that logo is warm and safe. So I think it's good.
If Jody says
Johnny agrees with that
I'm
too.
into it.
Shorten the legs, keep the circle there, and boom, you've got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think we're good.
Other than some centering that we can do, we'll go ahead and center it.
And then it looks like, and I apologize for names, but it's Nako. And he says, I'm new, but stick me up. Okay, you're here. Please join us. Oh, stick me up at stickers. Okay, I get what he's trying to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Which we're about 2 minutes away from that.
So where I would go right now, I've centered all of them, but the biggest issue that I see is that I still want sort of some symmetry, and I would like that if this circle, the circle that follows the path of that top of that N, if that it's perfectly out from that center.
Yeah. The circle reminds me of a very scientific aspect of having a force field going over the house.
Ooh, that's nice.
And having that there. Obviously, you're looking at the force field from a bird's eye view, but I think that's pretty cool how you've gotten that idea. And there's so many cool things. As brand identity designers, our focus is to tell a story and an experience, and you will get users, or people that the market that the brand's made for, they're gonna have different things that you created the logo for. And that's awesome. That's their interpretation, and that's the purpose of that. And the cool thing is sometimes you can use that. Dropbox, right? They made a Dropbox and then they stuck different things on top of it as they punched it out, right? And they showed certain things in it, and they've created this whole brand around that. And there's other ones that have done that. Dribbble has done that. Adobe has done that. There's certain things they'll do.
Right.
I mean, even
totally.
the screen that you see here of when Adobe Live starts, there's all these cool things that are made and created using different items of different Adobe apps. So there's so many things that you can create, and as long as you're telling that story with those elements, I think you've got a successful brand. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I think that we should step Sticker Mule coming up soon.
Oh,
Do
yes.
we pause?
No. So it looks like Chat and Win is going to be happening in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I don't think anybody has ever counted that down, but I felt like I should. So here's what we want to know. Here's a question that we want you guys to chat. Let us know your favorite HomeKit, or smart home technology. And we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So let's see. We've got Control 4, Undercover, Chattity Chat. Corn dog. No corn dogs today. That was yesterday. JBL speaker.
We got a ring.
Ring. Okay.
Ring.
I like that. You know what?
Control 4 once again.
I like
Echo.
Yep.
Echo needs one. A better app. Okay.
Yeah. Do they? Okay. Alexis. Yes, they do have that. They bought August Smart Home, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Honeywell plus Google Home. let's see here, a Waze pan cam.
Very aggressive and shirtless Rogie keeps my home safe. It's not very smart, but it does the trick. No app needed for that one.
Do you sleep during that time, or is that just
I mean,
always?
yeah.
Is there? Oh, looks like we have a winner.
Safety third in my mind.
Yeah.
So, but not for this app. Yeah.
Looks like we have a winner. It's Adriana.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Adriana McKinney.
Ooh, I love it.
She's won 100
stickers.
100 stickers.
100 stickers. I'm curious to know if she's in chat. I'm curious to know what she's gonna make.
I know that I've used Sticker Mule a lot, and it's super fast, super easy. We just did one for a little event recently, and like in a period of days, we got our design back. They look great.
Yeah.
So, Adriana.
For those who didn't win, though, there's a second chance. If you go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19, you can get 10 stickers for $1. So go ahead and check that out. Okay.
Great, and we're back. Okay. Oh, this is just a, sort of a more mood boarding. Looks like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so where I would go?
Pokemon fan? Pokemon fan?
It's a Diglett.
Is that how a dad would say? An older dad would
Pokemon.
say it? Pokemon.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. Hello, fellow kids.
So where I would take this, and I'm not going to jump into this, this is going to be the equivalent of sort of a Food Network. I put it in the pan, and then an hour, like 10 seconds later, it comes out, but it was supposed to be an hour.
Yeah.
I'll walk through this more in the icon design portion of this, and that's just setting up a grid and like aligning all these things, because I'm not really happy with the way that the N is balanced in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
And so what I would do to fix that is I would put everything on a grid, and I would sort of have all the shapes snap to that grid, so that I could make sure that everything's feeling exactly like equidistant or balanced.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna move forward with sort of the brand colors portion of this and just assume that this is the brand. One thing that you might notice is if I resize this, our scale of that line is like blown up. It's gotten big old and thick. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to, and this is a trick that I use all the time, off and on, depending on sort of if I'm working with more spirited illustrations and sort of character illustrations, I will just allow these lines scale, they transform. If I'm working with icons, I always want sort of every icon to have exactly the same line width.
Yeah.
So in this case, one way that you could do it, if you want to do this for all things, you would just say scale, strokes, and effects here.
Yeah, and that's found in preferences.
In your general preferences.
Okay.
So you'll see now if I'm wanting to size this more along the lines of something that might actually work with this nucleus logo, that will work. If you want to do this in a one-off way, you'll notice it's not here in Transform, but Illustrator's kind of funky. If you double click it and you keep double clicking it, that'll go to like 3 modes. One is collapsed mode, one is sort of the regular everyday mode, and then one is a little bit more information mode. And you'll see this right here, scale, strokes, and effects you can do on a case-by-case basis. So I can go here, boom. Maybe I wanted that to be a little thicker, so there.
Yeah,
I'm not fully happy with this, but we'll show you the final version that we pop out of the oven.
Yeah, we can do
that up a little bit. But
so
let's
work
on colors.
Tara has joined us, and it looks like Riley and Blake Brown have all joined us.
That's my boo, Tara.
Tara.
How's it going?
Sorry,
We call her the Tear Bear.
Sorry, my
Shaka,
bad.
Shaka.
Struggling today.
Ryan Johnson from Dribbble.
Yes.
He's my right-hand man in the design team.
And
Thanks for showing up,
man. Loves you.
A little bit of a sarcastic love, but I feel it.
Oh.
I still feel it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's an extreme
love-hate.
Extreme sarcasm.
Oh,
extreme.
Okay. And that's hard to tell in a chat room.
Really is. Tone is not present.
No.
You know. For those of us that want to create a new app, like maybe one that could tell tone. You know.
Yeah.
You may have noticed from at the very beginning, these images were shown, and these are just us randomly taking Safe Search off and doing some Google searching for atoms and nucleuses. And this one happened to be humans. So like a human atom or nucleus, like once again, very unsmart to all of this, but we're just gonna assume that this is correct data, which I always do with Google.
Yeah.
And so look at these beautiful colors that are inside of the human body. And what I'm gonna do is just we're gonna come up with a color scheme based off of these images. So let's just create some little.
Pretty impressed with those colors that came from that.
I know, those are vibrant and amazing.
Those are from a microscope, is that correct?
Oh yeah, something that zooms in far.
Okay. Something that zooms in.
Real far. So what I'm going to do is just hit the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to come in here and just feel what I feel that's interesting. And I can just click around, maybe kind of like a dark blurply kind of purple. Like what you feeling?
Oh.
We can come over here.
Oh.
We can come visit over here.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's kind of a little blue, little regal, little.
So why do you think we should use purple though?
Because it's in the body. Like, look at it.
Yeah. But there's certain things that go along with it. I mean, there's the fact that purple is from a marketing standpoint, it's loyal.
Yeah, there's royalties associated with purple.
Yeah.
It's also a blend of blue and red. So you have it's not too cool, it's not too hot, it's sort of right in the middle.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to have it is still a warm color.
Yeah.
But we'll choose that one.
Yeah.
And then over here, we're just gonna grab something from over here. Oh yeah.
I'm liking these colors.
That feels right.
Yep.
Let's get a dark one. This one actually has some variance, and I'm thinking, once again going back to this panel may be on a wall, and with sunlight coming in, you've ever had a MacBook Pro or something with the sunlight coming in, it's very hard to make out things on the screen. So what we want to do is up our contrast.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that if we're on a white UI, that we have a dark color to stand out off of it. So I'm just going to pick that one. It's not a full black, which is it's a little rule I learned from Justin Mazzell, actually. Never go full black.
Yeah. Never go 000.
Yep.
Voodoo says purple is an all the time color. Chris, please. I believe it was sarcasm at the end.
So that sounds like some great user research.
Yeah.
We're going to accept that as gospel truth.
Yeah.
And we're going to move forward.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to probably need a white or an off-white or a gray. Do you want to just go with a white? You okay with that, or what do you want to do?
No,
just
I
go
think
with the
that's
white?
good, and then go with the white, and I think we've got, do we need a lighter color in that at all?
We may need sort of like an off-white, kind of like a grayish color.
And remember, brand never sleeps. So if we need to change a few
That's right.
things to make sure it works, that's okay.
We'll just hit like
never
we'll just
done.
color sample the gray. We don't necessarily have one there. And then what I'm going to do is, one thing that we know about this app is that there's going to be like alert states, things that should to humans speak like wah, wah, like it should be an urgent and aggressive color. From a little bit of research, I know that Vegas actually uses red a lot.
Yeah.
Because red signifies, like, especially in their winning jackpots, because it's a very exciting color.
Yeah.
But exciting can be both fearful, it can be urgent. So I think we should
McDonald's
still
actually uses it too.
which excites me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited all of a sudden.
Do you think anybody could run us up some, maybe a cheeseburger and some fries?
Oh, man. I remember after watching Super Size Me, I remember I was like, man, that's really bad for these people.
As you're
and
at
I'll take two. I'll take
McDonald's
two. I'll
easy,
take
yeah.
two. That sounds awesome. I did the opposite effect for me. And then we need a green for like, we're thinking like stop-go states too, off on. We might need those.
Yeah.
So let's harmonize these colors. This is not a tried and true technique. This is a technique that I have used.
Yes.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of these, and we're gonna line them all up together and be friends. And we're gonna go ahead and say that the purple is our brand color. We see most of that, it seems, here.
Do me a favor, I wanna see this really quick. Ryan wants you to use EA for this hex color here.
I know where he's going with it, and I support his mission.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Oh, if I don't remember it
I'm not even gonna
by
let you look
memory,
at the screen.
I
think
believe
know what
I'm
it
not
is,
looking
too.
at the screen. Oh, I failed. Wait, is it EA4 C39?
Yeah. Does that look right?
EA4 C89.
That doesn't look
No,
right.
I got it wrong.
No.
Yeah, it was C8. It's a
No.
great pink.
It is a great pink.
That's a great pink right there. We're gonna stick with it. Okay, so we're gonna harmonize these colors. We're gonna come up with our color system, and we're gonna apply it to the logo. So we may not end up using all of these, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say our brand colors is purple,
Yes.
and I'm going to take it and put it on top of all the colors, but only halfway. I'm gonna take my transparency. Once again, I'm saying like this isn't a tried and proven method.
Right.
There's a lot of these saturation
something that
values
you've
that are
done.
off. Right, and we're gonna we're doing branding light, so we would tweak these colors more. But what hopefully this is going to do, and we'll just bring it down a bit. If we get in close here, we can see that every color is now influenced and it shares a little bit of the purple with it. And the idea here is to hopefully like help to bring these into some kind of like feeling of a family.
Right, because you've obviously taken the core color, which is the primary, and you laid it over the top of them. So I think that's it.
Yeah, and you could change blend modes here. You could, I mean, this is experimentation.
Right. Why do you feel that that would be wrong not to use that process?
I think one of the reasons could be that perhaps no matter if you overlaid those colors, that you may have, as far as a saturation goes, some will be highly saturated and some are not. Like the values of all of them won't be all consistent.
Yeah.
So it could be faulty. Don't judge me.
Yes.
I'm changing up, instead of doing a soft light, I'm trying just normal and seeing if that can kind of inform a good look.
Johnny says that it's gold. And
Okay,
chat,
Johnny?
please.
Johnny agrees?
Yeah.
All right.
And chat, please, if there's any type of processes that you may do, I know we have some brand designers that are in the chat today. So if there's anything that you guys do that you would love to share with those that are younger designers, I know Eric's a younger designer and a few other people, please share it, because some of these other designers need that. They're young. It's just time. It's inexperience. It's not that they're a bad designer. They're just a young designer. That's it. I've been there.
I'm still there a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm still there a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing to note about Illustrator's tools, if I wanted to come by and I wanted to sample this new purple down here, or this new pink, notice that what it's doing is it's sampling the overlay. I could even probably turn that layer off.
Yeah.
Or like lock it, and it would still probably sample. And let's try that here. Let's just lock that layer.
I really like that for a light color.
So if I lock it, notice it doesn't matter. It's still sampling that. And what I want to do is sample this new color. So what I'm going to do is another hack is I'm just going to do the claw, Command Control Shift 4.
Yes.
For those that do not know what that is, if I can even do it again.
And if
it's
you're
just
on
gonna be a
Windows,
screenshot.
we apologize.
Right, sorry about Windows users. Whatever you're gonna use to screenshot, and I'm gonna just paste that right back in. So now this is a bitmap or raster graphic that I'm now working with, and I'm going to take all of these, I'm gonna scoot these down a little bit.
Grab those
Grab these
circles.
Alt Shift, so it's all locked in place
Yep.
as I drag. And then I'm just going to go by and pick each new
I'm gonna say this wrong, but Kishja looks like he's gonna try this method. He says we're trying.
It's worth trying. Keep in mind that there are potentially bad things that can happen with this. We've not lined up all the colors next to each other necessarily, and by that I mean all of the colors next to each other.
Yeah.
And we've not defined a system, but right now we're doing like more of a branding light. This is not a full design system at all.
Yeah.
We haven't really tried these colors in a way that makes sure that they're good colors.
Yeah, and for the sake of time,
Right.
right? Obviously, that's not something we'll do. But Kat Lowe says that she actually loves choosing colors from colorsbox.io to do that step. And then there's also colors.adobe.com, and they've actually added some pretty cool things to it.
Totally.
That allows you to change the hue, lock in your color, your primary color, and then change it to that.
And Illustrator also has some tools as well. You can choose them, open up the color, I believe it's the color palette. Color themes, and it'll play off of your colors that you have.
It'll give you monochromatic. It'll give you all those.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We just got a little bit daring with these colors. Okay. Next step in moving on, what we're going to do is we're going to want to share these colors. We're going to want to share these colors with Chris, and we want to take it from Illustrator to XD.
Yeah. So I've actually on my screen I've got my start of two things. So this is going to be our design system. So I'll name that here, and then on the other side is I'm starting with what we'll be working on for our app. So I've got two of those open, and if you don't know how to do that, all you're gonna do is you can go two ways. You can click the home, and that opens up here, and then we can start whatever we need to start, or you can hit new, and then in new, it'll tell you the same thing that'll come here. So there's two different ways that you can actually do that. So I've got that there. So let's jump back to your screen and see how you're gonna add it to the Creative Cloud library.
Great. So what we're going to do here is we're going to both add the logo with a few improvements, the logo colors and the brand colors, and we're going to do that here. So we're going to start by opening the libraries by going to Window Libraries, and we've got this over here. We're going to create a new library. We're going to call it
Nucleus, I think. Is that what we'll call it?
Nucleus.
Yeah.
If typing worked,
you
cannot use scissors on a library, apparently.
Okay.
All right, let's try this again.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. I think it was picking up. I think it was picking up
Yeah,
your...
I was on the scissors tool, apparently trying to cut out my library.
Yeah.
I should be able to do it all.
Just
I'm going to create it.
Cut out reading altogether. There it is.
We're going to create some groups.
It looks like Jody says colors with an R, like how I spell my design firm. It's actually spelt the American way, C-O-L-O.
O-U-R, that's right.
Oh, well, O-R. Sorry, Jody's Canadian.
Yeah,
right?
well, Jody's Canadian. You have to honor those folks.
You do. Yeah, you got to add that U in there.
Right, and I think it was, and I'm not sure if it is still alive. I haven't used it in a while. Wasn't it like K-U-H-L-E-R?
Correct. Yes.
And then also
coolers.
Ryan up top, a little up top, said colors.co. That's coolors.co.
Yeah.
And then also Joe Dorgu, nice, thanks for the suggestion, said the same thing.
Yeah.
So keep those in mind. I'm doing some play right now. I'm just playing around. We may find out that it was a catastrophic mistake.
And Alexander, we did not start the wireframe yet. We're still working on the branding of our creative brief, and then we'll jump into doing the design system and we'll be working side by side on design system and the iconography soon.
So I was gonna do colors and brand, but we'll delete this and we'll just create a group. Down here I did a little folder group called brand.
Great.
And what I'm gonna do is take each one of these colors. These two look similar, so I'm just gonna pitch one out. And I'm just going to select the object and just do fill color.
Okay.
And I'm adding that fill color. I'm adding that fill color. I could also add the graphic, which is the entire object.
Correct, yeah.
I'm gonna add that fill color. What I would love to have, if you're listening, Adobe, is the ability to select multiple and then say add fill colors.
I believe you can if you select all of them. So if you just highlight over
Meaning so like this?
I believe you can't. No, it does the graphic. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, we can see if we can put that in user voice.
All right.
Okay, so we've got the colors built into that.
Okay, so we've added our colors. We need to put them into the brand group, so we can just drag them in.
Yep.
Hopefully we can do that multiple at a time here.
Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
Let's do sort of primary, maybe are these, like purple at the top. These will be like alert states, the green and the red. Maybe this one will come up here. All right, so now we have those. Let's see if we can get those over to Chris.
So let's jump over to my screen so that way he can invite me over to them. So go ahead and hit the collab and then put in my email address.
So under libraries and collaborate, I'm just gonna add that in. And it's gonna have me invite him. Perfect. What's your email?
Oh, if you just type in Chris, I think we've shared something before. Yep.
Great, awesome.
Yep, so we'll do that. And so that should show up. And then on my screen, I've created a couple of here, and we had 6 colors. Is that correct? Or how many colors did we have?
Looks like we have. Looks like we're at 6 right now. 6.
Okay.
7 was down here, but we removed 1.
Okay, perfect. So we've got 6. Okay, and then right here. So if you can go up to your view and go to, sorry, excuse me, I apologize, not view. You can actually go to your library. I usually just hit Shift, Command, and L, and that opens up our library. And then we named it, let's see here.
We named it Nucleus, straight up. Do you need to process that invite, maybe?
Maybe. Give it a second to actually load. So we'll actually, let's have you create the icons while that's doing that, and then we can actually have it start rolling things in.
One thing that we want to test colors to see if Ryan Johnson, so let's just kind of pin this idea. Ryan Johnson said, can you update the colors? And when they update and you're using those brand colors, will they update all the objects in in XD? And that's a really great question.
They will.
And let's demonstrate that when the time is
Yep.
due.
Yep.
All right.
Matter of fact, they actually, with our library, they actually will update. And you know what? For the sake of time, we did create these obviously to test them beforehand. So I do have those colors actually built in here. So I can actually use these for the time being. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to click this here. And what I'm doing is I'm creating this design system so that way within here, we can actually link it together. So if I go to my assets panel, and then in here you'll see linked assets. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab this and it'll say Untitled 2, but as soon as I change the name here to, and I'm gonna spell this wrong, I already know. Yep, told you. Yep, see, I'm a terrible speller. Thank goodness for spell check. Okay, so we're gonna call this design system. Okay. So if I go back here to linked, here, I already know that that's that. Oh, so it looks like it says no assets were found yet because we have to start adding assets.
Is the problem with the share that it's just not invited you yet? Is that the
No,
the
it just
thought,
takes the time on Adobe Live's internet. Sometimes it can take a time, and so we.
Okay.
Yep, that's why we prepare beforehand.
Okay.
So I'm starting to
just double check. Well, I'm going to change you to can edit just in case.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. That
I'm
may
not
also
sure if
be
that was
it.
the issue.
I'm looking here. The only one that I have is our previous one that we tested everything, but
But it doesn't have these new hot colors.
Yes, the new colors are not there.
Gotta have that new hotness.
Yep. Okay, so I put them on here for the time being. And so as soon as we can get the other colors, and if you want, oops, need to get rid of that border. Okay, so I've got that colors there. Did you drop the logo in yet at all, or are you working on that right now?
Into the our previous library?
No, into our library. Have you dropped the
Not
logo in?
yet, not yet.
Okay,
No, I'm actually working on that right now.
Just want to make sure. So let's jump over to your screen and kind of show what you're working on there and how you're doing it.
Okay, I'll walk through this once we get back to the icons, but this is a sort of refining of, this is what I talk about when I said, hey, I wanted to put this on, I felt like things were a little tight maybe with the previous logo.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm not that self-conscious. I'll show you all this junk. All right, I'm just gonna move this stuff off the, yeah, do not judge me.
I think judgment has already begun.
Yeah, yeah. Then you know.
Chad, if you could go ahead and put in your constructive criticism inside the chat, that would be great, and make sure that they're judgy, nice, constructive criticism. Man, I can't talk today.
Get that water.
I can't.
You'll get back in there.
No.
So this one, the problem that I had with this one is that I felt like everything was a bit cramped, and I felt like there was, it was imbalanced, like the whatever we call the bottom of that N. That it was too low. It just felt off. So I did recreate it, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of grid work here and let you guys know. I'll turn on the grids.
You know what? I didn't accept it. That's what I forgot to do.
Should always accept when I'm.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Great. Well, let me just get this one over to you, and
It's
then
there.
You got it.
It's there.
Okay, awesome. We'll push
So I'll
that
get all
there.
the new colors.
So here, what I did is here's my grid now. I've got a 32 pixel grid, and I think I've got it chopped up into just 1x1s, like with 2 divisions within my 32 pixel grid. The way that you can go set those up for yourself is that you would go to Preferences, go to Guides and Grid, and you'll see here, basically, I want a grid line, and that's gonna be the main lines here. And by that, I mean these main lines here. And if I turned on guides, let me see if I can turn on guides and rulers, I can really illustrate that fact. That would be, there we go. If I put a guide here and here, this is what's happening with those grid lines.
Brad says you need to have more flares.
Need more lens flares, JJ Abram.
Yeah.
We'll get to those later.
Hey,
That'll be
hey,
the flare
hey.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I've set up my,
And then Val wants to know if you're going to do a gradient. That's a
Harsh,
trend.
harsh.
That's a trend, and should we let a trend die, or should we keep it going?
depends on the kind of gradient. There's so many new gradients now. We could do something fun with that. I can show some of the gradient mesh tool.
Oh yeah, dude, that's like my new hotness.
All right, well, we'll just do that really quick then. So what we're gonna do is this is how I set up and constructed and redrew the logo. So what I've done is put it on a grid and spaced everything and snapped everything perfectly and evenly. And so this is feeling a lot more balanced to me now. It's feeling a lot more centered. Let's color this thing.
Just so everybody knows in chat that we're about 33 minutes out from the design feedback countdown. Within there, we'll be going into our Discord channel for Adobe XD and be giving some feedback for that. So stay tuned to that in about 30 minutes.
Considering that it's 30 minutes away, I got a thought. Why don't I start coloring this on my own on the side?
Yeah.
And then let you get started, and then I'll just give you a ping as soon as I push this logo.
Sounds like a plan. I've got this here. Our font is Source Sans.
Source Sans. Yep.
I'm using a Pro, but you have variable, right?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be fine.
It's not a big deal.
That's gonna be fine.
I'll do
right?
my best to get to where you're at on that. So.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I've got that here. So it looks like I got all my colors from in here for there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add these actually to Adobe XD. So again, I've gone to my assets panel within there and I just added those colors. And I may go in here and as I just changed all of them, but I may go in here and I may change them to primary. And then here's our secondary color. And then maybe we want this to be our text color. So let's do that. And then our green and red were pass and fail, or what were we going to use for titles for those colors? We were going to do success.
Maybe like an urgent.
Yep. Urgent or error.
Stop. Let's just go stop and go.
Stop and go.
Stop and go.
Okay. I just almost wrote go on red. I don't know why. Probably why we have bad drivers, because that's what they believe. No. Okay, so I've got that there, and then for the font, and for the sake of the stream, this design system is going to be not very organized. Okay, so I'm going to type in source.
I would say that's
sans
mostly
font.
due to Rogie's mind.
You got that chaos.
It's just chaos in there.
Okay.
Just chaos.
Okay.
Just a madhouse.
By the way, why don't you turn the hat around? I want to show that off to the world.
A little bit of this.
So tell the viewers where you bought that from. I mean, that's pretty nice there.
Oh, I actually forgot.
Really?
Yeah.
And that Helvetica, right? Is that the right font?
No, this is actually a typeface made by the typeface designer. I'll get back to you on it because I want to honor this man. He's done a great job.
Okay, I like it.
I do have a potential sort of like what I would call it is like a stub logo. Like it's not really there yet, but it's sort of it's like a coding term. Like here's kind of like the basics of it, and then I'll fill out the rest later. So you can use that logo, and then I will come at you again with some gradients.
You put it inside of here, so great. So I'm gonna grab that, boom. And then I'm gonna actually add this to our components as the logo.
And I don't think that you have that variable typeface, so let me match up to the one that you have. Because it looks like a different typeface that's rendering there.
Correct. I actually have Pro. I do not have variable.
Source Sans Pro. Okay.
Yes,
great.
which I've gotten from fonts.adobe.com. So
Great. I will take care of that, and I will save it. Should be synced.
All right, perfect. So I'm just going to change there. And you can put in character styles. So if you have some type that you want to put in there, you can put in your character styles into the Creative Cloud. Okay, so I'm going to do a semi-bold for our titles. And I'm going to go 34. Also, too, one thing is we're talking about this. Apple has their own design guidelines that they have, so be sure to check those out if you are designing an iOS app or iPad app, which they're calling that iPad OS now. But make sure to check that out, because what that's going to do is give you certain things. For instance, Apple suggests that you don't go lower than 13 points, or excuse me, I apologize, 14 points, and your typical size, rather than being a 16 point, which is on the web, you should do a 17 point. So that's usually what they want body text to be.
Okay.
And then the high that they suggest for titles is typically going to be about 34.
And that's on the HIG, is that right? Like on the human interface guidelines?
Correct. That is correct. That is what they call it, the HIG. Yep, so be sure to check that out as you're doing that, and we'll kind of talk more about that as we're doing it. All right, so we've got our title, our subtitle, and we've got our body. If we have anything else that we need to put in here, this is what we're gonna have so far. If there's anything we need to change, then obviously we can. And then as soon as he is, I'm gonna make this bigger. Hey, did you punch that out? Because when I make it bigger in here, and we did this on
demonstrate that too.
We did this on purpose.
Right.
We tried this, but one of the pro tips that we suggest is anytime that you're ever using a component inside of Adobe XD, which are new, they used to be symbols and now they've gone with master components. But one thing you need to know is when you have any of those, and if they're not been punched out or certain things like outlines, it will do that. As you can see, the dot is very, very big, but here, we can see here it's very large. So just remember that you want to outline that within it. So let's jump over to Rogie's screen and let's look at how he's gonna do that so that way you can do this very quickly.
Mark Bowden's right, the hat is from Mark Canet, so that's absolutely right.
Oh, okay,
So,
very nice.
So what's happening here is that this logo was constructed, this logo mark was constructed out of using strokes, and it's having a little bit of trouble with that in the communication with XD. So the easy way to fix that would be to go select those things, go to Object Expand,
yes,
fill in stroke, and you'll notice now that the sort of characteristics have changed. It's just a fill.
Yes.
What we can do is take Pathfinder, unite those two together, and we can do a punch out. So right now you'll see it's just two objects like this.
Which, yes.
Would you prefer it just to be punched out entirely? Or white on purple?
Let's do white on purple, because that way if we ever put it on something in the background, we're not seeing it through the logo.
It's really solid. Yeah, what if this was on a darker...
Correct, or if it was on a picture.
Yep.
If it was on a background image, it would definitely be something that...
Yeah, solid point. Solid point. So what we're gonna do then is, one thing that I've noticed, this doesn't maintain like a link, as far as I know, of this object to this object here.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're just going to delete this object. I wonder if there's like a replace with. That would be really...
Well, so let's show them that really quick. So anytime that you put a file in the Creative Cloud, as of right now, and I'm sure there's probably some updates that may be coming to it, in here, what I would suggest is when you create something and put it in, double click on it, and then it will open that in a new window, and any changes that you do there will automatically update on my end.
So then, based on that suggestion, what I would do is then delete this object, right?
Yes.
This other one that I created.
Delete
it's
that
like
one.
an
Go to your
instance.
logo that you have up here that's already in there.
So double click on this here.
And if we
graphic.
could show two screens, that would be awesome, because I want to show this real time. Perfect. Okay, so right now, obviously, you can see on mine.
Okay, perfect.
It's messing up, right? Okay, so I'm gonna wait for you to update yours. And as soon as you hit save.
So I'm gonna just redo what I did before because I'm in this object now.
Yeah,
So
totally.
let me ungroup these things. In this case, getting a little bit lost because I'm not sure. I obviously haven't, looks like in the text. Okay, we're all good there.
Okay.
So I have these two things here, great.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take these and I'm going to Object Expand again on those. We're solid there. I'm just gonna unite those two with a Pathfinder Unite. That seems like it should be good. I'm just going to hit save in that object. Come on out here.
Yep. And so, okay, it just updated
wait.
on my screen.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna drag it in here. I'm gonna delete this one. There it is. And look, we don't have that problem anymore.
Cool. The typeface still looks off as well, so there must not be.
It's because
match.
Well, did you?
Oh, I didn't do that. I did that
it?
in the previous step.
Okay.
Okay, so we got to go back to Source Sans. Yeah, I just didn't do this twice.
Well, you can also, once you do it, outline it, and then I'll never have that problem again.
Let's go ahead and just take care of that now. Even though the kerning seems a little bit weird, a little off.
Yeah. What are we at on kerning? Because maybe we want to bring that in.
Let's go. Let's use the character panel. So I'm going to go to Window. That's not usually a part of this panel for me.
Yeah. You're normally the paint panel. Is that what I've seen?
I'm
here?
usually in anything that would be involved in art and icons. Not too much to do with text.
Okay.
So, but if I go to type, this will be a teaching moment, type character, then we can look at our kerning here, and we can tighten that mother up.
What are you at right now?
Oh, she's looking good.
Okay. What are you at?
We're at negative 35.
I actually like that.
30, up, down.
Go, let's see 25. What does that look like?
25?
Go 20. This is exactly how designers work. We just
Exactly,
back
up and down.
forth.
Let's go 25.
Yeah,
Let's
I
commit.
like it.
Let's commit.
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and object expand again.
Yep.
And then we're done with that.
Yep. So
gonna
you
save
use
it.
object expand, you don't use create outline. Why?
It really depends. If you're working with text. Okay, expand is
Create
like sort
outline.
of. Expand is like a greater version of it. Like expand will take care of all of it typically.
Okay.
So that means if you've got objects, let's say it's a logo that's a combination of text on a path and some shapes, you can say expand on the whole thing. Maybe you're getting it ready for screen print or something like that, and then it'll expand everything.
Yeah, and if you can see on my screen, actually, now it's now it looks like it has fixed itself. So now that's the correct font size, the weight size, not font size, weight size. So we should be good there. And then let me just double check. And just so you know, even though I'm dragging it in like this several times, it automatically will update. That's just me. See, as you can see here, it's going to find the other logo. As soon as it just fixed itself.
Yep.
Yep, live. So
It takes a little bit of time.
yeah, so it just takes a little bit of time. It does syncing there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this component here, and I'm going to add this one in here. So now it's made a component inside, which is a logo. So we're good there. We've got all that going. We've got our colors. Colors look good. Is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
Okay. So we've got our title here. Okay. We're going to do source sans semi-bold. We're going to do 20 or
And I'll just watch the chat.
34. Yeah.
bring in
Let's do
some
that.
comments.
And I'm going to bring, let's see here. We're going to do, let's see here. Oh, the fonts, the many fonts. There we go. Semi-bold. And then, so this is going to be our subtitle. And then this is going to be 17. Oh,
Is there like an asset, like an XD asset that you can download that has all the Higgs stuff ready to go?
no, but they do have, so you can actually go up here to your files. You can go to your UI kits, and then it actually opens it up right there. So Adobe's been really awesome to have material, Microsoft Windows for doing their, obviously their OS, and then iOS. There are some changes obviously happening, because I don't know if you looked in the news, but they're now going to 3 of them that are their design guidelines. They'll have TV, iOS,
Watch
and
OS
now-
or something?
Watch OS is on there, but then also
Okay.
now it's transitioning. The 2 big ones were their iOS and their iPad OS now. So that's transitioning away, because I think Apple's obviously trying to move towards that direction
Right.
of the iPad being a computer. So
I think it'd be awesome if you could, in the future, just download a Hig. Like, I want to make a watch OS. I don't know all the numbers. I don't want to read over it. Just like give me a default template, and then just like slam in like Source Sans Pro.
that might
Done.
that might be a cool plugin. Matter of fact, that might be a really cool.
That'd be a
Because
great
plugins are
plugin.
pretty cool. Because
Yep.
like for instance here, I can click this, it drops down here and tells me to enter that in. And I use this actually quite a bit in some of my doc, and we're going to use it today. But there's a lot of plugins that you can actually use to do those things. And I think maybe that might be something that's cool, that you could maybe either have text go on the screen, or it changes all 3. Maybe you have 3 of them and it ties them to which one
Yeah.
you want it to be. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, the cool thing about it, and we'll get into this, we'll get into the grid, you are using what for your icons?
Anytime I'm gonna design icons, I'm gonna do, or anytime I'm gonna design on the web for that matter, I'm gonna use things that are units of 2.
Okay.
Mostly because Justin Mazzell taught me to, and also mostly because I was really dumb using units of 10. The problem with 10, it's like your default nudge unit. You know, if you like hit right, hit left. Split that in half. Now we're looking at 5. Split that in half. Now we're at 2.5.
Right.
Yes, we live in the land of Retina, but you got a 0.5 pixel on anything, and you have a blurry edge. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So for my icons, I think I'm going to just design them in a 64 by 64 box.
Okay. So I'm going to actually, and this is actually why I chose 11, because the boundaries are 1194, or so 1100, and why can't I speak with numbers today? 1194 by 834. So we've got that there, which means we can do an 8 pixel grid.
Oh, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, so I think we can use an 8 pixel grid. I also...
So our gutters, our gaps, our columns
Yes,
will all be based off of 8.
Yes, so our gutters are actually going to be, I'm going to do this here. I've got a 24 by 24 process here, and I'm talking about this because this is the part of the design system, right? And
Absolutely.
And so I want to make sure that we're kind of discussing these things, because I believe that in design, if you can create yourself a great foundation of structure, you can build 3 other pillars on there, which are going to be your wireframing, your hi-fi, and then your development. And that allows you to build a better product to me. Mark says 8-point grid for the win. And I actually learned from Peter, who does our daily creative
Yeah, it's
challenges.
becoming a little bit more popular. Like even in apps like Figma or any app that you can input your nudge amount. I even nudge on 8s too.
Yeah,
as well as set up my grids on
Huge
8s.
fan. And then, do you, working in your space, do you actually use an 8-point grid in that too when you're doing design for your web app?
Meaning for Dribbble?
Yeah, are you guys using a...
So at Dribbble right now, we're still in the process of that. And I don't know if Ryan's still in the chat room, but he's got a 24 in there for our, I've noticed that some of his gaps, paddings, and margin will be 24s. But he seems to be tracking along those lines as well. I know some of our button heights are like 48. So we're definitely like in the same mindset on that. We're also able, for the first time ever, to create a brand new design system for Dribbble. We're working on it. We've been working on it for a while. Ryan's kind of spearheading that, so absolutely.
Okay, great.
How about you? For every project, do you do that as well?
8 pixel, yeah. Typically, now on iOS it's a lot harder, right? Because our iPhone X is 375. So you obviously can't do that. So I transition away to a 5. You can use a 4, because even Apple suggests that your touch points of one of their icons, or where you're going to tap, is 44 by 44. So in essence, they're cheating and going away from a 5, right? And they're doing 4. So you can kind of deal with that and play with it. But typically my gutters are 15s on there. I just feel like it's really tight, and phones are getting so large. It's interesting to design for older phones that are going down to a 320, especially in the web, right? In the web, it's really hard to do that because you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do? So
yeah, so on iOS, I'd probably just go to like 16s, right? Like just tick it one up.
Yeah, you can do 16s. It's whatever I think they're comfortable, but from what I've seen from most UI kits and all that, it's 5s.
Yeah, and I guess if you got to play by the rules, and you're not sort of just making anything, like for me, I typically design for the responsive web, and for the responsive web, things are very different because you're not dealing with one device in one width.
Correct.
You're dealing with the whole world of devices at various widths and at various, like take for example a window, like a Chrome window. That isn't going to be exactly the size of the desktop.
And it's going to be
people are going to be, scooting half of it over so they can work on email. So it's everything.
So this brings me to a good talking point. Help me understand what made you a better designer and product of the web that allowed you to make your design process, right? When you're designing these things, what processes or what process allowed you to push forward and design the best apps that you could design, or creating a faster process and so forth? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say, well, if I just read it as like the one thing that made me a better designer, I would say it's 2 things. One is, when I started design, it was so many years ago, and there was the way that we propagated information then was like blog posts. Medium posts now are happening there, but I was going to other people that went before me and reading up on their process and downloading sort of little things that they gave to me and just observing and soaking it all in.
Yeah.
So that really helped me to grow. And then I just practiced and practiced and practiced. And in the night, whenever I could find time, I worked on little projects and just sort of by osmosis immersed myself in all of that. I would say then what made me successful was that I started sharing that design work. I started sharing things for free. I started writing things about what I had learned, and that helped to get me exposure. I had a little blog named Komodo Media, and on that blog I shared icon designs. I shared icon sets. I shared social media icon sets and resources, as well as tutorials on tricky little things that I had learned. And I think being a part of the community, period, has really been the source of me getting a leg up as a designer.
Yeah, and I would agree that community is definitely something that if you are harvesting or giving away information, you don't have to give a lot of times designers think that they're giving away their style and not their information. And I learned that actually as a young designer, I learned that very quickly, is that I wanted to give back to the community because in the design community, everyone's trying to help each other. We're just trying to grow. Yeah, you get your sour apples every so often, but the focus is to help each other grow. And it's actually helped. Rocky, a good friend of both of ours actually, has said, and he's been on the stream before, has said that when he has gone and helped other people, he has had numerous amount of projects that have come his way because of that.
I agree. I don't know a single person in my sort of 15 plus year career that has ever been like, God, I should have never shared that. I should have never helped that person. I should have never forwarded that job to them because like now they've taken over.
Right.
With rare exception on that, sharing has definitely helped and brought more work. Like there's enough for us all, you know?
Yeah. Johnny wants to know if you were involved in the app design of Dribbble, the iOS.
I wasn't involved I wasn't involved at all, actually. Okay. Ryan's actually done a few things as of recent. There's been some iterations and tweaks that we've done. But nope, I was not involved in that. I was actually sort of me coming into the Dribbble.
Okay, so I am going to...
Do we want a gradient on this logo?
Yeah, looks like Sarah joined us. Sarah, welcome.
Hey Sarah. Good to have you in.
Let's see here. So right now I'm putting together my information architecture, getting set up and putting all the different apps that I have. And I've also gone through, and now that I have my padding and I don't want to call it gutters, but the padding all around, now that I have that at 24, I'm good. And then I've also set up my nav bar, like we talked about it, with our research, our product research. And then I've got my score here where we're going to have certain things go on. Now, obviously, as I go out, I had 7 screens that we talked about. So I need to get those 7 screens taken care of. I'm going to just put these together and try and figure out my direction here. So we've got login, and I apologize if I ramble on. That's just a designer thing to do.
Do you want me to take over for a hot minute?
If you don't ramble, you're not a designer.
I think it's true. See many designers with the rambles.
Yeah. And many who are freelancers working in coffee shops, they'll just be talking to themselves. And everyone who walks by who's not a designer is
self-conscious about that.
Yeah, you're
it's
like
part of processing.
You look out and you're like, oh, sorry, I was talking to myself.
Dude,
oh,
yeah, my wife always walks in on me and she's just like, what is going on in there?
I know.
She'll bring people that are like family members with me and my headphones,
Yeah.
and they'll just sit laughing at whatever is happening with my mouth.
See, in my family, I'm a terrible singer, but I sing at the top of my lungs.
Oh.
I just...
Time to take you
I
karaoke.
Yeah,
buddy.
no, seriously, I sing at the top of my lungs. So my nieces and nephews, when they come and stay with us, they record me singing from the top of my lungs, and they said that it's even worse.
That's awesome.
It's even worse than cats at night. So I was like, oh, awesome! I'm an alley cat. Thanks.
Special skill.
Yeah. All right.
My gradient
So I feel like with onboarding, how we talked about that yesterday, we can do 2 or 3 animations on one scene with your illustration, and that way we can still accomplish, right? Because we've talked about this in the past, and storyboarding as an illustrator is a hard thing, right? When you're picking a character and you're drawing that, it can a lot of hours go into it.
Yeah, a recent project I've done, it just takes a lot of time. It's a little bit like storyboarding, and it's a little bit like, like a more rudimentary version of Pixar stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll probably take a more utilitarian approach, but
Right.
also it's really important that like you have to MVP these things at a certain, at any rate. You have to say like, how many resources do I have? How much time do I have? And what can I do well in that amount of time? Not like in a shitty way, but how well can I make this thing? Like, what's the best that I can do with the limited resources that I have?
Yeah.
Voodoo's got a really good point, which is like, she said she would argue that spreading the knowledge and helping your fellow designers increases your chances of building connection and opening up opportunities for yourself, not the other way around. And that's exactly how I feel. So much better said than I did.
Yes.
I gave you new colors.
She's pretty good with. Is that? Let's jump over to the screen. I want to see this. Where'd it go?
It's gone.
Where'd those beautiful colors go?
It's gone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I wonder if I can put it on the screen
Is
and
that
now
the
jump
gradient
into it
mesh?
in this way.
No.
we
Let's try
can't.
it. No.
It's
No.
interesting. Can I like? No.
Nope, because you have to double click it from in
Yep.
there.
Oh yeah, so what I did on my screen here is that I went into this background color here and I used a gradient mesh on it, and then I just started putting gradient mesh points on it. And so you can see that all you have to really do is just put a point on and it'll just put a color in. And so if that point is selected, you can put like say green, you can put green into it. Let me make sure I got it selected. There we go. And then if I select it and then drag it out, you can see how big that gradient will get. And it's of course affected by its neighbors. So if you move its neighbors around here and then you blow this thing up a little bit bigger, maybe there's a max size, maybe that's what I'm hitting. But this is how I created this. It's just using that gradient mesh.
Super reminds me of Donatello right there. When I first saw it, I was like, oh.
Really?
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Oh,
Turtles.
just because we got that purple and that green?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so we'll leave it there. We'll just leave it there. I would probably obsess over that mesh for probably the next 6 hours, but we won't do that to you
Good thing
in
our
any
stream
way.
is only half an hour more.
Yeah, so, all right, let's go back to Chris's screen.
Okay. So I'm gonna actually link my assets. So as you notice here, I've got two screens, right? I've got my design system and I've got everything there. And we have tons of stuff that we have. But I don't want to have to recreate all that stuff. So the nice thing is Adobe XD has actually given us an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to drag all the colors in.
Oh,
And
nice, okay.
when I change any of these colors, it will automatically say, we're going to edit it, right? We're going to go in.
So will it push the color change back to me then?
No, but it'll push it to me. That's in your Creative Cloud library. So what we're doing there is we're pushing it. Because typically the brand is going to happen where? It's going to happen in Illustrator, right? It's going to happen in there. The other cool feature that they just included here in the newest update that came out yesterday is if you had an image, you can right-click on it, edit in Photoshop, and then you can do it there. So that's kind of nice when there's, or you can go the opposite direction in Photoshop. If you're not using Creative Cloud, that's a great, or excuse me, Creative Libraries, that's a great way to just edit the photo and then jump back in and out for a single designer. But for a team, you're gonna have somebody editing all of your imagery that's part of your brand. And they'll have it saved. Well, they can put it into the Creative Cloud library also.
Right. You can just put it in as a graphic,
correct,
right?
And any changes that they make to that will automatically update inside of your hero or so on and so forth. So it's very nice to have all these things that you have based on these different assets that you're using. As a team, it's great.
So does that mean like if you take that title and then you assign a color to it that we've chosen as a brand color?
I've already given the...
I've already given it.
Yep.
And if I go in right now and I change that brand color, that will update this over here.
No, it actually won't. So
Okay.
that it's not that intelligent yet.
Okay.
I would say, in the fine words of Howard Pinsky, coming soon, right? I would say that that's probably
that would be
something
a
that
great
they're
addition,
working. Yeah,
right?
yeah, and if anybody does have any, we're about 5 minutes away from the design feedback countdown. But if anybody does have any information, or excuse me, anything that they'd like to add to Adobe XD, make sure to go to adobeXD.uservoice.com, and you can put things in. You can vote certain things that are going up. And
Awesome.
And the team actually will watch that. They're
great.
very, and they're really good on if you tweet anything. Andrew Shorten is very quick to get on there. He's one of the senior product managers. Very quick to get on there and talk to you about it and see how they can help. WXD listens to the community very well.
Awesome. Well, if they're listening, I would say that there's definitely a difference between sort of just generic brand colors and then colors that you're assigning to let's say, a title.
Yeah.
A title color or a button color may be different. So there may be sort of a split out from those. We might just put like base brand colors, and maybe I would just create that with a group here. I would just say heading colors or text colors, and I would probably approach it from that standpoint.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna bring, since I'm doing a wireframing here, I'm actually gonna bring in an icon. So we're gonna keep it like that. We're gonna change this to gray, right? We're just gonna keep it gray. Even though I'm fighting what Peter says about having, Peter actually uses Comic Sans in his wireframing. So he's not married to it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right, he's not married to it. It's like the end.
Well, it indicates
It gets
that
the love it needs.
It indicates that it's dummy for sure, right?
Correct.
Like it's not final.
Yep, correct.
Unless, of course, you're actually designing a preschool app.
Would you really use that though?
I mean, I might, just to pay it some service
Yeah,
for the way
that's
it's
true.
been used and abused.
That's true.
But yeah, that's good. We got a gray box, cool.
Yep, and I'm gonna do this 3 times because again, we're gonna do this animation. And I may even give myself a note here that says, let me change this over to this, want to add animation. I love correct, very
Yep.
nice. Want to add animation and background will be the same. Okay, and then I'm gonna do that and just put that down there and put an asterisk next to it, right? I could do that.
Right.
If you're working on a team, you may wanna do that, but you can also put it in the comments too from in Adobe XD. So login wise, we're gonna get rid of all this because we don't need this. So let's do our boxes. And please understand, this is gonna be ugly. So, all right. Okay, so I need to just, the only thing I do want to make sure is I want to make sure that I actually have, let's see, 56 divisible by, is that right? No, yeah.
I think that's right.
8 times 7, yep. Okay, so we're too big? What do you think? You want to create a directory of me here?
Yeah, so,
Maybe 48's better.
you know, I think at this point it's about the device and how big, what a pixel means to the device on that wall. Like, how big is the actual real estate? Because you're thinking like, as long as it's similar to Apple's iOS stuff, then you just need like a finger or bigger.
And they said 44. My thing I'm thinking about
We'll go
is
from
what about older people? Because
Right.
older people are going to use the system, right? In our
Right.
brand
This is for all people, maybe with the exception of like maybe children, but you know, then their tap target's bigger and they're fine. So yeah, let's go a little bit bigger. Let's go a little bit bigger than normal.
So if we add 8 more, we would get to, let's see here, 48. And then the cool thing is you can actually do math in here. So I don't have to think about it.
Right in the field. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Yep,
A complex math, trigonometry and stuff.
Do you want to do, are we going to do, let me move this down. Rounded. So give it a radius. Do a pill button.
Cool.
Does that fit the brand?
I think it works. Like we've got, you know, some circles. We've got some, yeah, so far we've got a lot of like circular kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then maybe what we'll do is stick with a 4 here and a 4 here. Right? Keep it.
Got 45 seconds.
Oh. Man, I'm on the spot now. Okay, so let me just make sure that this, I'm going to put this to a 320 so that way it's there. Okay. 32. 32. Perfect. Okay, email. Wow. 18 seconds. Let's go 12. 12. Do you sometimes break your grid even though 8 is divisible by 4?
Sometimes I break rules. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, same. Okay, looks like time is up. So
What'd they say?
we're gonna jump into, looks like we have design feedback countdown is over. We're gonna actually jump into that. So let's see here. I'm gonna open up my Discord.
Got some challenges, huh?
Yeah. Yep. So we're doing this from the challenge feedback tab. Okay. I'm gonna move this out of the way, just so you guys can't see what channels I'm a part of. I don't want to give that away.
It's gone. It's been
gone.
given.
Yep. Okay, so let's go down here. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna try and see if I can figure out. It looks like we have, what's day 6? So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So I'm gonna jump into these. We have a couple of them from previous days, so we're gonna work our way up. So let's go into this one. All right. Oh, okay, so we have a link to it. So in Adobe XD, you can actually have prototypes that automatically pop up. So that's what they have.
Nice.
So today is a calendar. Oh, very nice. Okay.
Oh, it's like a working little prototype.
Yes, yeah.
Very cool.
And they used a purple, like ours.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. And it looks like I'm being chastised for using, I'm not using the dark mode in Discord.
Yeah, well, fix that.
Always getting chastised. Okay, so, okay. I don't know how I feel about that animation. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
It might be a little heavy.
Because you took my calendar away.
Go back again. So what's our? We're just literally going to a month.
Yeah.
I would imagine this is. You have to ask yourself the questions like, what is the user doing in this at this specific moment? And if it's just a calendar, like oftentimes I'm checking like, well, what's happening next month, or what am I doing this December? And if there's no search field for me to do that, then I might be hitting that, and it might seem like a little bit of a heavy-handed, like taking too long.
I would agree.
It needs to probably be a little bit more subtle.
Yep, I would agree. But see, the thing is interesting enough, so Twitter has theirs, right? Twitter has theirs where it drops down and then it pops back up. Or excuse me, in Twitter, when you have the app, it shows you the bird. And then the bird goes small, or no, it gets bigger.
Right,
then,
so in the loading, sort of the splash screen at the beginning.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So I think with that one, that kind of works for this, and I feel like this is misplaced, just as a user looking at a thing.
I agree. Yeah, the Twitter one is used like once when loading the app, and then potentially like never for as long as that app is open. You're not opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing.
Yep.
It's all about sort of the use case, and in this case, the use case is probably pretty common that somebody would use something like that.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too, and we were talking about this. I was talking about this a couple days ago. If you're designing something, think about certain things that are happening. So when you use a toilet in another country rather than America, it should be the same thing. There should be a flush. There should be some kind of handle. It should be the same process. With a toaster, if those of us that who can have a toaster in our home, should be the same thing. Toast goes in, you push the lever down, and then it heats it, and you can use a dial or whatever it may be to, whether analog or digital, to change where you need to go. Don't try to change that step because then the user has to relearn everything.
But the same would be true with icon design. You're not artists. The idea here is that you're not trying to self-express. The idea here is that you're trying to put something, a glyph or an object onto the scene that instantly makes somebody think of something, that it's recognizable. So in fact, it's almost the opposite way. And I think that point agrees with this one, is this should be usable and familiar. When I was designing Fantastical for the first time ever, we had this idea where like surprise and delight, skeuomorphism was hitting big. So we were like, let's do a tearaway sheet. And we decided that like, no matter how many times we came back to that, it was like, this is just too much time. Like people are constantly, it's very similar to this argument.
Right. So it's a great animation. Like I think using this in another area would be great.
That's a good point. Use it in a place where like, maybe it's the loading. Maybe it's the loading screen where it loads your calendar in.
Absolutely.
That might not be a bad idea.
The other thing is, and this has nothing to do with your design, this is just the way that it's set up in Adobe XD, but when I click on this, I notice that you're using this arrow here as the same one. And you notice it even more here. See how the arrow moves up? So make sure your layers are named differently, because what it's trying to do is use that here, and you probably did a copy and paste, which is perfectly fine.
Oh, I see. So it's transitioning to that state.
Correct, because auto animate takes takes the same layer name and it puts it in. So by having that, it caused a problem. And by the way, we did notice that it is actually day 7, but I'm looking at day 6 because we didn't get
any day 7.
So we're going to go back to 6. No, we'll look at a couple of the 6. We'll spend a little bit of time. But I think at 45, since we'll spend 15 minutes on this, then we'll jump back into design at 1:45 our time. So perfect. So that's there. I'm just trying to see what else can I click on? It looks like just these. So, yep. Okay. So with that, I do like the colors. The spacing here. Let me zoom in really quick on this. Give yourself a little more white space. A little bit more white space. And white space is not a color, it's giving yourself space. So padding around here. You're a little tight. You're actually, typically, I try to stay where the curve is happening. I try to stay, have an imaginary line here. Okay?
Right where that radius stops.
Right, I kind of try to stay on the other side. Just to make sure.
Yeah, the delete icon's done that on the right. And in fact, it almost looks as if the previous events is also doing that only because it's only one character.
Yeah, and that's probably because he has this set to a, within Adobe XD, there's probably, what is it called, right justified? Right aligned. That's probably why, and he's probably typing this way. So that way he was on this line and he was typing that way. So that makes sense. It's just, I just keep using that.
Yep.
Give yourself some space here. It feels like it's just sitting right on top of it. And then your icons here, this is interesting because when you click this, let's zoom out here. When you click this, this is a action, but yet there's another action inside of here. So be careful with that. Be really careful with that because the user clicks here thinking that he's trying to just get, or he or she's trying to get to here. That's not going to be the case. So
at what point will my finger actually hit? Like, is it on the lines of the delete, like trash can?
How am I holding my phone? Am I holding my phone like this? And if my thumb is like this, then I could hit that. If I'm left-handed, then obviously I'll be on this side. But as a right-handed person, I may be inclined to tap right in that area.
Right.
And then if I tap here and I'm doing the same thing, that may frustrate the user because they feel like they should have gotten input off of this. Okay, let's go to our next one. But great job.
Yeah, keep pushing it. Keep pushing it.
Okay, so let's look at the Behance really quick. I want to see this. I like the choice of colors. Oh, we jumped down there. Okay, so design a calendar app to manage your design tasks for the month. All right, so I'm going to zoom in on this. Oops.
So is this this must be both a design for the app and the marketing for the app?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah. So in their Behance, they put together a project. Okay. In here, you're absolutely right. They're trying to build that, right? They've got their resources, their design system. They've got so many things.
Some colors.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So we've got a lot of things here that he's trying to show off. His prototyping, how he's doing certain things, so they can show process. And then it looks like he's got, here, let me get out of this. Looks like he's got a prototype right here. And it's live. You can actually embed these right into a...
Awesome.
Yep. So looking at the design right here, I really like it. The only thing I would suggest is since it's on this red, having red on red, does it feel like it throws it off?
Do you think that the critique is on the marketing side or the critique is on the app? Because the live prototype was that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Just in this area, I think the rest of it looks great. Yeah. I mean, when you have red and red, that may be a concern, so I would do that. But if presenting your work is huge, right? I think that's kind of that first impression.
But in showing thought process behind the decisions that you make is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Like red on red may not work.
For the project. For the project, yes. When you're putting on a Behance, I would suggest against that. So this is really good. Again, here's a notification, but it's red on red. I would maybe change this to a secondary color or a background color that you've chosen.
Potentially even ask yourself the question, why, what is it important to have that image in the back? Because what's happening, and I get the trick, I've done this a lot, I've tried this a lot, I've tried overlaying images. What is most important? Clarity and presentation of information, making it communicative and readable. In this case, because of the image on the back, I don't know why that image is there, and like it's obfuscating some of the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, now there may be a very good reason for that. Maybe that was in sort of the brief or whatever, but I don't, maybe that's some photos of, who knows what that is.
Right,
Upcoming activities, maybe?
Are you trying to humanize it to get me to connect with the fact that the person's using a calendar? If so, if I were to analyze it, it doesn't look that way, but if that was what you were trying to come across, I could see where you're going.
If humanizing was the intent, then I would say like maybe do that on a marketing site.
Yeah,
and not on the
agreed.
app.
Because it does make, from this point, the text looks really good, right? But when you zoom out and say that was there
Right,
from
that
a
text-
distance, right? I'm holding my, it could be something that may cause.
Now let's say the idea that that image was an image of an upcoming event. I might just take that thing out and throw it in today's priorities or something.
Yeah.
There might be a little cool place for that.
Yeah. Okay, so coming down here again, like we talked about with the last one, let's focus on giving yourself more space around here, especially because you're kind of going into the curve. White space is huge to me. I feel like legibility goes up. I feel like the ability to.
I'd agree.
I mean, this is really
It's a
tight.
mistake I often make, even being
Yeah.
designing this long. Like I feel like, well, everything that's above the fold it still preaches to me that like, well, I got to get everything in that I can because everything's important.
Yeah.
And what that often does for a user, it just confuses. It's also it's too crammed. It's hard to read. It's hard to parse.
Yeah, I do like that they stuck with a color scheme that works. The hues on this don't really match the red, but it's okay. You can still work on it, still change it. Color's not gonna kill you unless this was a final production you were putting out. So just make sure to work on your color. Color theory is a big thing. I suggest any new designer to work on that because that is a very foundational thing to learn, especially in UX UI, because in today's day and age with being RGB, like everyone's wanting to use bright colors and so on and so forth in their app. And designing way back in the day when you only had the old-fashioned, and I always get this wrong, I don't know why, but CKMY. Did I put those
So we're
together
talking
right?
color schemes for
Yes.
print mediums
Versus digital.
As opposed to digital mediums.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, but people using bright, and so learning colors and how they work together are good. Because remember, how often, if this is a calendar app, I'm gonna be looking at this every day, and I'm gonna be looking at it how many times a day? Maybe 50. If I'm a busy person.
Right, totally.
If these colors are super bright and they hurt my eyes, I may be deleting the app because
Right.
I don't like it. So just remember that.
To that point, on your projects working, Cyberpunk, to me, I can read it. Now we go to Coldplay, the next one over, the orange one, even harder to read. And
Right.
over to the super saturated green, that's almost illegible for me. Like I almost can't make it out. And so as a help for you, as an assist, you can use contrast checker apps. We were talking about it earlier about Get Stark. Stark has some contrast checkers. There's also Contrast app, which is a menu bar app by MDS. And what you can do is basically say like, what does this white on the screen look like as far as this text size goes? And it'll just say, it'll give you a rating. It'll say like AA plus, something like that, and say like, you're good to go. Most people can read this.
Yeah.
Or it'll say, not accessible, people can't read this with vision impairment.
Yeah.
So that'll help you out.
Yep. The one thing I do suggest, so shadows are awesome. I mean, you came from Scudamorphous, so you know that doing certain things.
Homeboy loved himself some
Right.
shadows.
Right. But having too much of a glow can hurt eyes. And so just remember, that's the big thing you guys, that everyone needs to realize and remember is that as the best designers, remember that there is a foundational level. And I know you may think I want to throw a bunch of colors and certain things together and that makes me different. It's okay to be the same. I'm not asking you to be the mundane person, but add style to it. Think about what's happening on Behance and Dribbble and so many other places is that there's a mentality of trends that are going to happen. And great, that's awesome. But make sure to always follow the foundations of what's going on. This is a little too much for that. And where it's sitting can make it look, that red looks off, right?
I think for me, what the red shadow is doing, want to see some intent with trying to bring focus to that as the main action.
Yeah.
But you've already done that by making it big.
Right.
And you've already done that by making it red.
Right.
Now, the one problem that I see is that I don't really care that there's a red shadow there. It's that it's sort of, it's making it hard for me to discern the edges of the button. So it's sort of blurring into the UI, and I think it's good to be clear. This is this, and this is this. CMYK, I think we're not saying that at all.
No, Grace, yeah, and to correct ourselves, we are not saying to use that. No, we were just stating that there are two different type of colors, and because digital is really built off, and as Johnny said, it's more of an online thing, meaning digital. It's really digital, and we use those. So a lot of people are using very bright colors.
Right.
But sometimes bright colors can be bad for you. Too much of a good thing can be bad, right?
Right.
So just keep that in mind. And thanks for the feedback, Johnny. I appreciate you working with the chat on that. Okay, let's see if we have, we have.
You have another one?
Now we're gonna get into prototype really quick.
Oh, just so we get to work with it. Oh, there's the hot
prototype.
spots.
Okay, I like that.
I do love that feature about XD. So you could just,
Yeah.
what was that, Automate 2? What did you call it?
Auto animate.
Auto Animate. Yeah. That's some tight stuff.
So check this out. Like they built that, and it works on the web now too. So I like that transition. I really like it, and transitions are very good nowadays. So I really like that.
Do it again. Touch it again.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Interesting. So the ones that are there move into.
And they go longer.
Man, I can't imagine as an engineer, my mind would be blown. I would be like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. It may be, once again, something that I've always learned is that oftentimes we make these long animations, and for something that you use often, you can always speed them up just a bit. So I always stay mindful of that.
Like, click them.
My animations,
you got to click them
slow.
several times. I typically try and keep mine under less than half a second.
Yep.
So
one thing too that reduction of animation time, what it does for you, is that it sort of makes the user think that your user face is faster. So as much as you think that animations are cool, they do have the negative effect of making your interface feel sluggish, even though it may not feel sluggish. There were some good articles written years ago, I'm not sure exactly what they were, but the idea was there are times to just like stay away from it entirely because it gives the impression of a snappy, fast interface, and people go, this thing works and it works fast.
Yeah, totally. And there's a lot of stuff that goes, we talked about environment today for our app, right? What if we walk in and it's in a hallway, and not everyone's gonna have a darker hallway, right? They may have it right in front of a window. Well, screen glare is a big thing. And environment is something that you really need to work for in your product research. And in that case, I literally just lost my train of thought. But
I can pick it up.
wait, in that case, where was I trying to go with that?
Well, I can at least share another thought, and then.
I literally lost it.
Well, you said environment was something that you designed for.
Yes. So if you're in an environment where you have slow internet, and that's
Really good
transitioning
point.
to something else, you're not really waiting for half a second. You may be waiting longer, and you may be going to a state that's blank. So just think about also too that there's a lot of things that you need to think about.
Well, a good, for instance, I heard from a friend was like, let's say you needed to design an app that's a commentary app as you watch a movie and as you watch through a movie. Oftentimes when people watch movies, let's say it's at a theater, it's like a commentary app in a theater. As you watch movies, and you're looking at this commentary app as you're going from scene to scene, environment is often in a dark room. You're not watching it usually in a full light of day. And so if you just went like shot from the hip and said, well, I feel like this interface should be white because I like white.
Yeah.
That's not a great example, and that's not a good use case. Like, it's much better to think about the environment. If the environment is a dark environment, maybe you don't want to like blast out people's eyes with all that light or annoy people with that light.
Right, totally. Jonathan made a good point. He said on the calendar view, it feels more like a warning and kind of incites a little panic in him. Yep. See, that's user experience, and so that's something that in user testing you can
That's
find
one thing
out.
that you're going to get with red. Not that you can't use red, but then the rule, red incites urgency. It incites. What were we saying earlier that red does? It's exciting. It's an exciting color. So if red's going to be a brand color, I would think that maybe it's something that's used a little bit more sparingly.
Yeah. Sam says that you should always use CM or CMYK because you never know when Grandpa's going to try and print out snail mail on a page of that to show everybody.
That's a great point. Good job, Sam. Hey, if Grandpas are the large use case for this, then great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into this one. So I like that it's very Apple-esque. It's like their app for iOS, their calendar app. When I go into this though, I have pretty good eyesight, and I will be truthfully honest. The black on black and the colors, it's hard to read.
I think it goes back to a contrast thing. One way that you can potentially fix that, you could bold your text a little bit more.
Yeah,
Bring that weight up.
And then space it a little bit more?
Yep, you could give it more breathing room around the sort of pill thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Apple does a really good job of, as it progresses through its hierarchy of size, things don't show up actually. Maybe there's just an icon and that when you click in it, you get more details. Or if you're looking at it from a calendar year view, you're seeing dots. And then as you go in, you get larger and larger rectangles.
Yeah, I think a good to that point, like if you go down to the week that's the 12th through 18th,
Yeah.
look at just read this, sort of step into a user's mind and be like, okay, what's coming up? Math, lunch, impreza, and birthed.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't extremely valuable bits of information on their own, and they demand that you tap into them. So,
Correct, yeah.
what you might need to do is see if there's a way that you can, like, how can we free up space here? Can we remove the Chrome from around the calendar, those left and right,
These right here, right?
the borders
So
around
we're talking
them.
our padding. Should we go full? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, I get what you're saying.
Just remove those. That buys us a little bit more space.
Yep.
I don't have all the solutions in my head right now.
Right, right. But that's one thing that you see off of from your experience. Okay, so let's see what's happening when.
Right, I guess in these examples, there's like 6 different things that you have to tap to get into.
Yeah. Yep, so it looks like he has today, and he's got that there. Looks like we have about 2 minutes left, so let's jump into it. So we're just gonna finish up with this. So again, I give yourself some spacing on this, and I think other than that, the other thing is there's never a 0 in a year or in a month, so make sure to take that out. But other than that, and then the spacing here, a little too much.
I think what you said earlier, the padding within, the vertical padding on those little
needs to be
boxes could
more.
probably do a little bit better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the feedback that we would give on that. It looks like we're actually out of time, but we'll actually, it's really quick before we finish, but I wanted to jump over to your screen and just kind of have you tell them a little about what you're going to work on tomorrow for icons.
Okay. So considering time, we're going to take this set of icons and reduce it to a little bit more easy to achieve MVP. But we've sort of identified a bunch of different things that you could potentially automate within your home. Things like lights and doorbells and fire alarms, potentially icons for arming and disarming this app.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to be doing tomorrow is setting up a grid for those icons and drawing those icons.
Okay, I like that.
Yep.
I like that. Well, we appreciate everybody that came out today.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
It's been super fun, and I think we had a great workflow. We apologize we didn't get as far as we wanted to in the stream, but don't worry, we have tomorrow, so we'll change around some of our stuff for our agenda.
Right.
And yeah, other than that, my watch is telling me to stand up, so I think we should go. And
All
I've
right.
got to use the restroom.
It's
so
time to go.
It's time to go.
All right.
You guys take care. We'll see ya.
Thanks, everyone.